Sometimes she sings to you. I immediately began crying.
I can't hear.
Oh, I don't know if we can hear Matt. Can we hear Matt?
Pronouns she, her, hers.
Now, after 7 days, we can go back there and crazy.
Instead of the MAGA movement, we're going to start the mama movement.
I haven't been meowed at for a long time.
Those clips are from the Democratic National Convention, otherwise known as the Convention for Socialists, Marxists, and people who think that gender is a social construct.
My name is Dr. Joey Perella. Pronouns she, her, hers. I'm a proud resident of the Garden State. I'm proud to stand with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz because they stand with the LGBTQ community. It's time to turn the page on Trump first. Thank you.
After forcing Joe Biden to drop out of the race, the party pushed through Kamala Harris without even allowing a challenger because she very well may have lost to whoever that challenger would have been. Additionally, the party did everything they could to prevent Robert Kennedy from being on primary ballots because Biden might have lost or been seriously challenged if voters were given an alternative to a senile puppet president. The coup is complete and Harris is now the nominee who keeps telling us she is saving democracy, of course. Somehow, someone at the DNC thought this person was a good choice to deliver a message about being on the menu.
As the saying goes, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
We got 70 days to act right, y'all.
That's right.
Now, after 7 days, we can go back there and crazy.
There are plenty of other cringe moments that occurred. Here are some of the highlights.
I have no children. I'm a cat dude. I think we're perfect. And wow. Hello. I haven't been meowed at for a long time.
Kansas, how do you cast your vote?
I can't hear.
If you're lucky enough to be her friend, she calls you on her birthday, and sometimes she sings to you.
So psyched to see all of you. I decided instead of the MAGA movement, we're going to start the mama movement. That is Make America, Michigan, and Minnesota again.
I don't think most elections are about the details of policy.
Now, Matt, I understand that you work as an AV tech in Nevada, and you make a decent hourly wage. Is that right? Oh, I don't know if we can hear Matt. Can we hear Matt? So who's going to fix it? Keep speaking, Matt, till we can hear you. Okay, that's good. I guess we're going to move on from Matt.
In 2008, we met while working on the Obama-Biden campaign. When I visited the Vice President's residence for the first time, as I approached Vice President Harris for our official photo, she turned to me and asked, "What's wrong?" Mind you, we'd never met, but she saw right through me. She saw the distress. I immediately began crying. And the most powerful woman in the world wiped my tears and listened.
We did get an angry appearance from the resident-in-chief, who was praised by Jill Biden and Bill Clinton for dropping out, even though everyone knows he was actually forced out of the race.
And weeks ago, when I saw him dig deep into his soul and decide to no longer seek re-election and endorse Kamala Harris.
And then he did something that's really hard for a politician to do. He voluntarily gave up political power. And George Washington knew that, and he did it. And he set the standard for us serving 2 terms before it was mandatory. It helped his legacy, and it will enhance Joe Biden's legacy.
And Americans are safer today than under Donald Trump. Trump continues to lie about crime in America. Then I had to take executive action. The result of the executive action I took, border encounters have dropped over 50%. In fact, there are fewer border crossings today than when Donald Trump left office.
We got our hands on some brand new internal ICE data. It is jaw-dropping, and it shows just how overwhelmed the agency is right now. Before I get into it, just a little context on what it is. ICE has something called a non-detained docket. That is made up of migrants who have crossed illegally and have been released into the country with a future court date. It also includes illegal immigrants who have already been ordered deported by a judge but are still here in the country. So with that in mind, take a look at these staggering numbers right here. Federal sources telling Fox News ICE's non-detained docket has now exploded to 7.4 million cases so far in fiscal year 2024. We're told it's on track to hit 8 million by the end of this year. As you can see, these cases have more than doubled since Trump's years in office. We're told over 1 million cases have been added to this docket just since October 1st.
Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration. That's not hyperbole. It's because Medicare no longer has to pay those exorbitant prices to the big pharma. Women are not without electoral.
There was one thing that was very clear at the convention. The party's platform is Orange Man Bad.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Trump. Trump.
Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
We have to defeat a person who is a threat to our democracy of the kind that we have not seen. At the beginning of our country, Thomas Paine said the times have found us. Declare war, establish a new nation. Abraham Lincoln took up that charge to keep our country together years later, decades later, and now the times have found us to save our democracy. That is what we are here to do.
You can basically rename the party as the anti-Trump party because they really don't bring anything to the table other than this. That notion is on display if you go to the Harris campaign website, where they do not list a single policy proposal or stance. Overall, the convention was probably exactly what you would expect. They spent the entire time telling you the country is in a great position, but also that Kamala Harris is going to fix the country that is in a great position. Essentially, they are trying to sell you that after causing inflation, rising prices, more debt, and an open border, elect them and they will fix the problems that they caused. The kicker is that they are also telling you that those problems do not exist or they are overblown. This is a fine line that the party is trying to walk at this point. They know that the Biden-Harris administration is extremely unpopular and that Joe Biden was on a losing path, which is at least part of the reason they forced him out of the race. On the other hand, they can't abandon the base, so they have to continue selling the policies that made the administration unpopular in the first place.
The way we're going to make history here is by me becoming president.
Yes.
And I'm going to show you I can be president by the fact that I basically already am president in some ways.
She doesn't come to this as an ideologue. She comes to this as somebody that, as you saw in these videos, has focused her entire life on the people. Okay. And that's how she's going to do it.
You say she's not an ideologue. This is somebody who's on television running for president saying she wants to ban fracking. She wants to take away private insurance. She wants to have mandatory gun buybacks. That's pretty ideological.
Well, she's actually said she does not want to ban fracking.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Kamala and I also work to protect our southern border.
For 20 years, Kamala Harris has been tough as nails when it comes to securing our border.
And they're earning our votes by laying out a plan that puts the American dream not just within reach, but so we can fully grasp it. By making sure going to the grocery store doesn't break the bank.
Because too many of our fellow Americans are struggling every day to just get by, to put food on the table, to pay the rent,
and to get the health care they need.
With the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we established one of the most successful presidencies of modern times.
And I, for one, am tired of hearing about how a two-bit union buster thinks of himself as more of a patriot than the woman who fights every single day to lift working people out from under the boots of greed, trampling on our way of life.
Until recently, I have mourned the dimming of that hope. And maybe you've experienced the same feelings, that deep pit in my stomach, a palpable sense of dread about the future.
We've gone from economic crisis to the strongest economy in the entire world. Record 16 million new jobs. Record small business growth. Record high stock market. Record high 401ks. Wages up. And inflation down, way down, and continuing to go down. And Kamala and Tim will continue to take on corporate greed and bring down cost of food. When I say we, I mean Kamala and me. Kamala. What Kamala I've done. We've had one of the most extraordinary 4 years of progress ever. Thank you, Kamala. Thank you, Kamala, too. Selecting Kamala is the best decision I made my whole career.
We're going to walk out of here feeling pretty good, I think. We've got energy, we are happy, we feel like a load's off our shoulders.
This type of Orwellian doublespeak was also used to say that Donald Trump would prosecute his political enemies, which of course the Democrats are currently doing to Trump, and DC Mayor Muriel Bowser attempting to tout the safety of Chicago.
Donald Trump would be able to weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political opponents. He could even turn the FBI into his own personal police force. That is not how it works in America.
Have just gotten word former President Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in New York.
Well, today, the Department of Justice unsealed the historic indictment charging a former president for the first time in history with federal crimes.
New charges today concerning the classified documents he took from the White House.
Donald Trump is now facing his third criminal indictment.
According to a leaked document, the FBI spied on Catholic churches around the Richmond area.
The Department of Justice has directed the FBI to use its full authority to investigate any threats targeting school board officials. This just days after a prominent school board association, the National School Board Association, asked the Biden administration for help against parents who are critical of people who work for the school board.
This is what the first sounds that Roger Stone woke up to this morning was the FBI pounding on his door.
Trump hasn't spent much time in New York lately, except that is to get convicted of 34 felonies. And that's just fine with us. Donald Trump fell asleep at his own trial. And when he woke up, he made his own kind of history. The first person to run for president with 34 felony convictions. As vice president, Kamala sat in the Situation Room.
I think Donald Trump's message is a tired, old message that doesn't reflect the hard work of our police officers in communities and cities across this country. I'm in Chicago right now, and it couldn't be a more perfect experience for our delegates and our party.
Democratic delegates reportedly victims of a recent string of crimes targeting downtown and the surrounding neighborhood.
Of course, it wouldn't be a Democratic convention without some racism complaints and class warfare, starting with Oprah Winfrey claiming racism despite her ability to become a billionaire in America.
I've seen racism and sexism and income inequality and division. I've not only seen it, at times I've been on the receiving end of it.
And Michelle Obama lecturing about being weary of people who take more than they need despite her multimillionaire status only because she is married to a former president.
didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed.
Rules for thee, but not for me. The height of hypocrisy.
Staying true to their brand, outside of the DNC, they had a trailer set up for vasectomies and abortions, in addition to a gender-neutral prayer room for Muslims. I have no idea why you would need to specify gender-neutral in that case, but who knows. On the note of racism, leftist politicians and media members have been pushing the notion that incorrectly saying Kamala is a form of white supremacy, racism, sexism, and probably every other ism that's an option. Well, under those new rules, here we have Al Sharpton and Bill Clinton committing a hate crime.
Ask for their help and then follow our leader, Kamala. And we need Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris!
As for the acceptance speech by Harris, she claimed to be tough on Iran, which is pure comedy, sprinkled in her usual cringe stories and sayings, in addition to her attempting to claim she is helping secure the open border. She topped it all off with the lie of the year, claiming that Joe Biden's record is extraordinary. It's so extraordinary that she and other Democrats had to force Biden off of the ticket during an election year.
I will never hesitate to take whatever action is necessary to defend our forces and our interests against Iran and Iran-backed terrorists, talking about how terrible everything is. Well, my mother had another lesson she used to teach. Never let anyone tell you who you are. You showed them who you are. After decades in law enforcement, I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border. To our President Joe Biden, when I think about the path that we have traveled together, Joe, I am filled with gratitude. Your record is extraordinary, as history will show, and your character is inspiring. And Doug and I love you and Jill and are forever thankful to you both. We can create an earned pathway to citizenship and secure our border. I fought against the cartels who traffic in guns and drugs and human beings, who threaten the security of our border and the safety of our communities.
I rode to Little League practice in the way back of my coach's wood-paneled station wagon. And if we did well, we got to have a Slurpee after.